I want you to talk a little bit about how you became a Thunderbirds pilot, but I have a question that I really want to ask you because it's been on my mind for a while now. I understand that sometimes the Thunderbirds are flying at in excess of 550 knots, as close as 18 inches apart. And so how is that? I mean, how is that even possible? How do you fly those jets going at that kind of speed in the air, that close, with that much precision?
Trust and teamwork, my friend.
Yeah.
I mean,
oh my gosh.
So I have to correct you a little bit there, Brian. So first off, when you are selected for a Thunderbird, you typically only will do 2 show seasons. That equates to about 3 years, give or take, because it takes about 6 to 7 months of training. And then you do 2 show seasons, which is over the course of 2 years. And then you have to train your replacement. And then when you're done, you're done. So, I finished my tour on the Thunderbirds after the 2011 show season. So I did the 2010, the 2011 show season, and then I went back to the combat air forces, if you will. So I just so happens that I'm back at Nellis as the operations group commander here. But to get back to your original question, the Thunderbirds have 12 officers, and they, in a typical year, will replace about half of the officers, which is, in that way, you always have some continuity. Of the 12, 6 actually fly in the demonstration. So you have Thunderbirds 1 through 4, which makes up the diamond, and then Thunderbirds 5 and 6 are the solos. And then you have various support officers. There's a narrator. You have the operations officer, who's also your safety observer, and then you have a flight doc and public affairs and an executive officer, et cetera. So, but the call goes out and you apply, and it's just like any other business interview process. You go out, you actually travel with the team, because it's quite an undertaking. You're on the road, roughly 260-ish days a year when you're on the Thunderbirds, essentially from mid-March to mid-November is when you're doing the various show seasons. And so they are interviewing you as much as you are interviewing them, for lack of a better term, to make sure that that's something that you want to do, because it is, and it's quite taxing.
Tons of travel, right? Tons of travel.
I mean, you're on the road, minimum, in a normal week, you would leave on Thursday, come back Monday, you'd practice on Tuesday, off Wednesday, and then you're back on the road.
Can I ask you a silly question?
Yeah.
When you travel, do you actually fly your jet from place to place?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
See, that seems kind of cool to me, actually.
No, man,
you're still away from your family a lot, but actually getting there in an F-16, that's about as cool as I can imagine.
No, I mean, it was great. It was, honestly, Brian, it was one of the most unique experiences that I've had as a fighter pilot. Because it's really the only, like I was saying earlier, when you take off and then you go do your mission and you come back, but people don't ever see what you do. And the whole purpose behind the Thunderbirds and the Blue Angels is to really, represent the pride, the precision, the professionalism of the United States Armed Forces. It's not just the Air Force. It's not just the Navy Marines. It's really representing to the American public what it is that their armed forces is doing. And we're doing that through showcasing basically combat air power using frontline combat fighter aircraft.
So when you're flying 18 inches apart or however close, I mean, it's just ridiculously close. I guess I'm surprised at your answer a little bit, because I thought maybe there would be some buttons you could push or something that would help you maintain that distance. But you're saying that's just practice. This is practice.
That's right. So Thunderbird 1 is the commander leader, and you're essentially in constant communications on the radio. And so the Thunderbird leader is, he or she is communicating over the radio if they're moving the power, if they're adjusting the pull, et cetera. And so it's essentially voice inflection as to how much power they're pulling back or adding in, or how much pull they're putting on the aircraft. And then that 18 inches is the closest that you'll get. Some formations a little bit further out, but that is, you're months into the show season before you get into that close. It takes repetition, doing the same thing over and over and over. And it's kind of like your golf game, man. Each day is different. The environmental conditions are different, and some days you're better than others. And sometimes you're just off your game. And it was really a unique opportunity. And you get to travel to places that you would never probably go in the continental United States, and you're able to meet just amazing people who love this country and they support the military. And now you're able to showcase to them what their tax dollars hopefully are actually paying for. Yeah. And at the same time, some of it is selfish too, Brian, because the United States military is an all volunteer force, right? And so we rely on a steady pool of recruitment. So you always need new officers and new enlisted, et cetera. And no better way than to take that and do it kind of in an air show circuit is the platform that we're using to recruit some new airmen if you're in the Air Force, retain the ones that you have, and then lastly, representing, as I've already alluded to, what the United States military is doing on a daily basis. And so it was really a phenomenal opportunity to meet some amazing people. I think my favorite part was every Friday you would do a practice air show, but it would always be for some special needs group or like a Make-A-Wish or whatever. So some child who may be terminally ill, who's been stuck in a hospital, they're able to come out to the air show and they watch that, and to put a smile on a child's face that potentially won't be there the next week or the next month, to me was probably the most moving piece of my entire tenure on the Thunderbirds. It was a phenomenal experience.
That I'm getting chills again. That's so cool. Colonel,